with us. And then at some stage, I'll also get you introduced to a few, members of the team, just to, so that that you're in very good hands and you could be confident in terms of, ensuring that if you need anything, if you need any support, help, not just in teaching, administration, IT, then you're able to get in touch with us, through 3 different routes. So essentially what we are going to do is, make sure that we are contactable, and you're able to get in touch with us any time of the day, Monday to Sunday, almost 24/7. And that should not, stop or be an impediment to your course progress as far as, studying is concerned. And then if you have any questions, feel free to ask me, so that this session, what we want to be able to do is make sure that you understand everything, the ins and outs of the course, how to get in touch with us, who the course tutors are, and at the same time, you'd also be, feeling confident that I have access to all the teaching and learning material, which will allow me, or essentially, when I say me, I mean you in your case, to be able to study at your own pace, considering, because from what I know, most commercial pilots, they have a rota system. So obviously your days and times are not going to be very fixed, but the course should be available with you on your phone and, on your, say, PC or laptop that you use, so that wherever you have access to the internet, and even if you are traveling, you should still be able to access the course fully without any, compromise as far as, the course material is concerned. So 1 or 2 quick other questions which I want to check with you, just to look at housekeeping tips in terms of, let's say, the systems that you use. What systems do you use in particular? Are you a Windows or a Mac user?
I'm a Mac user.
All right. Okay, that's brilliant. So in terms of the phone also, do you have a Mac or iPhone, or do you have a Android phone?
No, it's iPhone.
All right. Okay, that's brilliant. So essentially that should help you to get set up with us, on pretty much everything, because we are all set up on Mac here, and our software and our systems are accessible through Windows, Macs, most of the platforms across all the browsers. But having an iPhone or, a Mac would be quite useful, simply because I think even if you have to do a bit of troubleshooting, then we should be able to do that and help you with it, because we've been on Macs for the last, I think since 2007. So most of the software, most of the things that you or, sometimes students, learners need, we are able to do troubleshoot in-house itself. So what I'll do is I'm going to start off with showing you some of the systems, so that as we go along, you are able to set up some of these systems as far as usage is concerned. And once the quick demo of the systems is done, what I will do is go into a course overview, followed by some of the assessment and feedback process, introduce you to the team, and then look at a bit of a study plan that would work for you around your schedule. And then if you have any queries, questions, feel free to ask anytime during the session. Now, what I've done is I'm going to start off with the website. The reason I normally say the website is because the website tends to be the starting point of pretty much everything that you're going to do with us. So if you need to reach us, on WhatsApp, out of hours number, this number is also out of hours number. That means, weekends at least, if you need, if there is a pressing requirement and you need something specifically, and you want that now. Sometimes we have that need, I want it now because, I'm looking at it. So then you can WhatsApp us on this particular number. This number is also a college switchboard number. We have a monitored mailbox. So if you send any sort of a query to admin at UK Versity, which is a short form for admissions, that should allow you to get a response within 15 to 20 minutes. Because there are 3 or 4 people in the admissions team which basically look after this mailbox, and you should get pretty much an immediate response for any sort of a query related to IT, admin, course, anything that you need to know. This main system that we have, which is Moodle, from which you're going to do your teaching and learning, This system can also be reached from here as a shortcut. So this is the tab that I've opened up, and I'll go into this system in a minute. So this is the main system from which most of your teaching and learning content will come. Sometimes we will also look at using YouTube, simply because I think it's a free repository. And from our point of view, we are able to put in a lot of videos and other things on YouTube because it's free, it's customizable, it is accessible easily. And then obviously some of the videos that we have can be optimized by YouTube themselves as a platform. And that allows the videos to be accessed pretty much from anywhere in the world. So for the time that you're studying with us, I would suggest that you go in and click the subscribe button, and that should allow you to essentially, receive any new videos that we bring in from time to time related to your course, and they should be accessible to you because you are a subscriber. So if you go onto our YouTube channel and click this button, subscribe, this would be giving you access to all the playlists. And obviously, I think education empowers life, which is our logo. So we also want to, obviously use this as a medium to essentially provide free education to people across the world. And a lot of many great people have said is that YouTube is one of the biggest educators in the world, and it's one of the main institutions from which you can learn. So there are lots and lots of videos that we normally put in, on YouTube from time to time, and that is something that you should be able to look at by looking at subscribing to the channel. Now, one of the other things which I would suggest, Zoom, we've had no problem. You've got onto Zoom pretty much straight away, is a platform that we use. I think we switched over to Zoom during COVID. Before that, we were using WebEx, and before that, we were using Join Me for about 5 years. They're all video, conferencing or meeting platforms. You don't need any subscriptions for these. Every time you get onto a session, you get an invite. All you have to do is click on it. Sometimes these sessions would ask you to register. That means they'll ask you to put in your first name, last name, and an email address, because they also act as what is called attendance, systems for us. So the idea here would be sometimes when you get these invites, if you click on the meeting link, it'll ask you to do registration, and that is a normal process. Now, in the Moodle platform, there are two things which are out and easily accessible without even logging in. I'm just magnifying the screen so that you're able to see it a bit more clearly. Now, there are two demos which are put up outside. One is how to set this up on your tablet or smartphone, and other is how to reset your password just in case if you ever do forget your password, then the reset can be done pretty much straight away from the system. This particular application, which is how to set it up on your iPhone, is quite simple. You would need three things to set this up. One would be the URL or the address, where Moodle is installed, which is on our website. So that URL tends to be LMS, which is Learning Management System short form, lms.ukversity.co.uk. Now, the app that you need to download is an app which primarily is, designed and let's put it this way, created by Moodle company itself. And it is an app which looks like an M with a graduation hat. So if I just show you the app again, this is the app here. So this is the app here, and this is a free app that you can download. And this app, when installed, would allow you to access Moodle from anywhere in the world as long as you have access to the internet. So I would suggest that even if you think you would probably not need it, it's a good thing to have on your phone or on your tablet, because this allows you to have the course material available with you at any point in time by clicking only a widget, and that should allow you to run the system and then get access to the full course material. So you need three things: the URL, you would need your username, which is always in small letters, and the password that you have kept or changed from the one that we sent across to you. That should allow you to sign into the system. Now, once you're signed in, you get pretty much access to the full course, including recorded lectures, presentation, handouts, ebooks, any sort of assignment samplars or documents that we've provided, which could be articles or journals, or case studies. They would all be available from within this particular program once it is installed. You can also download the material, obviously, and have it available with you offline. So every time you need to connect, once you are in the Wi-Fi, under the Wi-Fi, you can download that material, and then obviously, anytime you need to open it, it'll open up locally from your phone memory, because this particular course material will be stored onto your phone. Now, the advantage with us when you have this is just there are two advantages in particular. One is that when we look at you having it on the smartphone, I think it allows us to push notifications to you and your phone by sharing on the calendaring app, setting some messages and putting in some reminders. That's the advantage for us as far as the app is concerned. But apart from that, I think the other bit that we want to do is consciously make sure that you are aware that you are having this course, you're enrolled into this course. Although it's a small screen, you'd be able to get pretty much all the information on it. But generally speaking, this makes you conscious that you are actually studying a course that you paid for, and then you are making conscious efforts to be able to complete and achieve this qualification. So these are the two advantages that we have if you install the Moodle app on your phone, and that would allow you to access the course material and also give you a bit of a subtle reminder to say that this is a course that I'm doing, and I should be at it. Now, apart from that, if I go into the course itself, I go onto the homepage. There are two ways of looking at getting into the system. One is put your username on top and the password here, and then you click on the green button. You should be able to log into the system. Now, when you log into the system, what you will have is under My Courses, there will be one tab which will be showing, and that will be the OTHM Level 4 Diploma in Business Management. We'll look at it now so that you have full access to it. And the other way of doing that would be, because we run a lot of different courses, I think what we do is also put it up on the menu through the drop down. And then if you go into the business tab and then choose the OTHM L4, which is business management course, and that should take you into your course itself. So we've got one other learner who's also studying. He works for the Malta Police. And then we have Conrad, a couple of learners who are on this current batch, which is started, in September. And let me enroll you into the course. So now that you are enrolled, you should be able to see the full course material on your side. Now, the course material is listed out as table of contents, and the course that you're studying has now been it has undergone a refresh. So you're studying the latest version of the course. When you log into the system, what you're going to see is that there are some units which are shaded or not available, is because these are the older versions of the course, and the new units are highlighted like a table of content. Now, that does not mean that there is no course material in it, but because you're on the home page of your course, it only shows you the outline of the course, which is from a point of view like a table of contents. When you buy a new book and you go through the first few pages, you essentially see the table of content. Now, for today's induction, what we're going to do is basically go through this material, which is just look at the course overview, some bits on Harvard referencing, essay formatting, command verbs, what makes a good assignment, the assignment front cover sheet. And I'm also going to show you some of the other bits related to the course, which is going to be coming from the course content. Now, in the course content, when you click on any of the units, you would see the mouse color changes, but when you are on the iPhone or tablet, you should be able to click on it. And when you click into it, this will open up the course material for that particular unit itself. Now, there are a number of different types of documents that you're going to find when you get into any of the individual units. Now, these documents tend to be of 4 different types that you're going to see. And if I just very briefly put this out, they would be the same across all the units that we go in and see. So these documents are going to be either PDF documents, which are normally highlighted with a red icon. There will be Microsoft Word documents, which could be Word, Excel, or PowerPoint. And there'll be some recordings which will take you to the web or essentially play on the cloud. Now, the Word documents are given primarily because they can be used as templates for doing your assignments, because there are some bits of activities and tasks that you need to do. And while we do these activities and tasks when you're studying, they will also start becoming a part of your evidence that you have created for doing the assignment for that particular unit. Now, on the phone itself, when you click on some of these, they will open directly. But if you use it on a Mac or a desktop, essentially, these Word documents or Microsoft documents will essentially download to your machine first. So if I click on this right now, what will happen is it will ask me to download this particular document, and then and only then I would be able to open it. Now, in the PDF documents, when you click on them, they will generally open straight away on your screen, or on the phone screen, or on the Mac screen, simply because PDF software or reader is integrated. And in most cases, even Word document is in Microsoft documents or formats are integrated. And that's why on the mobile devices, they generally open up when you click these documents. But on the Mac or PC, they will normally download, simply because they need associated softwares to be able to open them up. Now, one last thing on the systems, which I want to briefly mention, is that when you look at how is the arrangement of documents done on the Moodle, so that arrangement follows through across all the units that you're going to study with us. Now, when I say the arrangement, what I mean by meaning of that is top to bottom, how the documents arranged sequentially. So in the first case, the first document that you look at is basically a document called unit specification. Now, this is the unit specification which is coming from the OTHM course handbook. And we are going to be teaching the course from this particular unit specification, because this exactly tells us what are the learning outcomes, what are the assessment criteria to be covered in the learning outcomes, and then what is the indicative content that we need to actually teach you so that you are confident, and we can confidently say that you have now covered the unit, or you have covered the specific learning outcome. So if you see in this unit 1, 2, 3, 4 learning outcomes, which will generally be the case across OTHM units, that most units have 4 learning outcomes, we are going to be covering this particular unit in roughly about 5 sessions. The reason I would say is you have 4 learning outcomes, each will have 1 session like I'm doing right now with you on Zoom, followed by there'll be 1 session in which we will discuss what is called the assignment for this particular unit for you to be able to pass. And that is why this unit is going to be covered in 5 particular sessions. So this bit, if I go back into now the homepage and go back to the unit, what you're going to see is there are going to be plenty of recordings which will be related to these learning outcomes. So when you go through learning outcome 1, there will be a recording for learning outcome 1. And if I click on the learning outcome 1 recording, this recording essentially will take you through the full lecture, which has been delivered on covering the learning outcome 1, just the learning outcome 1 of that unit. So it should give you a full rundown in terms of what is required to be studied in learning outcome 1. And at the same time, it should give you details into why and what content is required to be covered. And that would be done from a point of view of going through this learning outcome. Now, the other thing which I want to look at, just pointing out briefly, would be that when we look at the subsequent documents in your on the Moodle, they are going to look at going through the second document that you look at will be the assignment brief. And that is a document which will essentially, once we have completed the unit and the delivery, we're going to be looking at how do we do the assignment for the unit. So this is going to be there is going to be 1 assignment that you will do per unit. So if there are 6 units in the course, there'll be 6 assignments that you'll be required to submit. And these assignments from OTHM, have a very good way of designing them, because they will not ask you to produce pages and pages of data, but they are going to be specific in terms of asking you to prepare either a presentation or a flowchart or a mind map or a written Word document. And that is going to help you to develop soft skills that we generally use within the office environment or within the work environment. So some of these learning outcomes, excuse me, that we study, you would see that there is a bit of a recommended word limit given, and what they're asking you to produce is also going to be very clearly provided. So if there are 4 learning outcomes, generally they tend to be 4 tasks or activities that you need to complete. And these tasks and activities are going to be academically written. The work should be referenced. And in some cases, you are also looking at reading the content and writing in your own words, which would mean paraphrasing. Now, after these 2 main documents, you'll have books, which are recommended books. And these books are traditional academic books that you would need to be able to, do some additional reading or study. And some of these books can be quite extensive, but the idea here is we've provided those books which have been recommended by OTHM and not just any books, and they are going to be useful for you to do your assignment. And these books are not just any books, they are traditional academic books, and they are the ones which cover the indicative content which is given, and you should be looking at maybe picking out examples or anything related when you sometimes look at theoretical frameworks, or you need to look at, say, for example, practical examples. They are all going to come from these books in terms of helping you to, complete your work. The reason I say this is because you don't need to go to Google. You are not going to be copying and pasting from other sources. You're going to be using these books and journals and articles that we provide, and they should be useful for you to complete and achieve your unit and your assignment. Now, after that, we have presentations for each of the unit, which is broken down into learning outcomes. So this is presentation for learning outcome 1, and they're quite detailed because most learners, if I look at it this way, they're mature learners. They have, they are working. Some of them have families. They have kids as well. So most of the information that they get on the course and the learning outcomes or the units they study is going to come from our slides. And because these slides provide one, for example, they've been developed through the books, which are recommended by OTHM. And second, these slides tend to be quite worded because the idea here is to try and provide 75 to 80% of the information of the unit from these slides itself. So if you read the slides or you listen into the lectures, you'll be pretty much getting 75-80% of the content and the knowledge required to achieve and study that unit. Now, under some of the learning outcomes, you're going to see, one is obviously going to be recordings. Second, you'll see some additional handouts. And these handouts are created by us because what we want you to do is use these handouts to complete certain part of tasks, which are going to be later a part and parcel of your assignment. And some of them would be provided as Word documents, meaning that you should be able to reuse them or use these templates and contextualize it to write to your requirements and then submit it as a part of your assignment. And there'll be, if they are related to a particular learning outcome, they're normally uploaded under that particular learning outcome itself. So you have learning outcome 2, probably no handouts required because we are able to cover everything in the presentation. And that is where the presentation, would be detailed, but it will provide you pretty much everything that is required to learn. And that is where these, there might not be a handout, for this particular presentation. But in some cases, if you are not able to cover the content, then in those cases, you would generally see handouts being created and provided, and they would be summarized versions of what you need to know and need to study specifically related to a particular, part of the unit, which is referred to in the learning outcome. Now, this kind of a content flow would essentially follow through in all the units that you're going to see. So the second unit, business operations, again, the same type of content and follow through in terms of structure. You'd have basically the unit specification followed by assignment brief, followed by books, followed by presentation recording and some handouts in some cases, and then further books or books which are required essentially for you to study, and they would be normally provided, in the course. And this again, as again, can be seen in all the units that you are going to study as far as the course is concerned. Now, if you do want to go back to the home page, use the menus here on the top. So if I click on the previous menu, it will take you back to the table of contents page, wherein pretty much, all the units are listed out, and you are able to see the full content as a table, of summary in terms of the units and the content that you're going to cover. Now, that bit basically covers, the system. So main system going to be Moodle for you to be able to access the teaching and learning material. And if you need to get to us through the website, then typically all the contact numbers are on the top. Obviously, if you scroll down to the footer, you have the address, the college switchboard, and obviously working hours and some of the other links to, useful documents like quality policies, or if you need to see who are the people in the team, then you go to the About Us section, click on the operations team. That is me. And then you have Amrita, she's the registrar. She will manage your certification, registration, and assessments with the tutors. Reena is one of the lead tutors. Upen is primarily the financial controller in the organization. Jill is the course coordinator. You'd primarily be going to be, speaking to her quite often on the phone, emails, because she will be scheduling these sessions with the various tutors. Harjinder is one of the administrators at the office. Amandeep is also one of the administrators. Yasir is one of the tutors. And I have a couple of other team members who are predominantly in the teaching side. But these people are in the operational side, and you'll be able to see some of the other, lecturers who are going to be teaching and learning and delivering the program when essentially you, do study some of the units with us. If you do take some live lectures, you're going to be probably meeting up with some of these people during the course of your studies, when you do the course with us. Now, that's just about the systems, just to make you aware that how do you get access to the course, and then obviously who are the key people that you would probably be getting in touch with from time to time, and then where and how you would be able to get in touch should you get into any problem or if you face any issues while you're studying the course with us. Is that okay? Any questions on this so far?
I have no questions on this. I totally understand.
Okay, let's go across to now the course handbook. Now, all the documents that I'm going to show you is going to come from the system, so don't worry about it. And this is the first document that we're going to click on, which is the course handbook. Now, the course handbook is a document that you want to primarily just have a quick read, simply because this is a course handbook, course document, which is basically a handbook, and that should familiarize you with 2-3 things. One, who is OTHM? This is the awarding body which is going to, finally award the diploma to you. The qualification that they have is globally recognized, and this qualification is accepted by most education or ministries of education across the globe. At least in 60 Commonwealth countries, there is no problem at all. And then in some cases, it will also give you some overview of, the program itself. The third thing that you're going to get from the course handbook is going to be details of the units that you're going to study. So your qualification was refreshed in April 2022. I think all qualifications in the UK, more or less undergo some sort of an update every 5 years. So the previous version, which you don't see on the Moodle, which we keep for archiving purposes, is not available, but that was the previous version. And now the revised version is what you're going to be looking at studying. Now, should you wish to, confirm the qualification on off-call, basically this is the qualification number on off-call register, which basically tells you that, yes, it's a regulated qualification. It is not a qualification which is awarded by the college. It is a qualification which is primarily recognized. And when I say recognized, it is, approved by the Ministry of Education here, which is like, off-call, which is Office of Qualifications in the UK. So when we look at, off-call in general, this awarding, this particular government body basically makes or regulates and approves all the qualifications predominantly in the UK. And unless you find, this qualification listed or in sometimes some case employers want to verify that the qualification that you're doing is a listed qualification, is something which is approved. So you can go in and verify this directly by going into the off-call register, and that you can see this is a regulated qualification, and it'll show you when it was introduced, when it is approved till, and obviously, currently offering and will consider offering. It will be internationally available and recognized, because then the awarding body works with different ministries in education across the globe to make sure that they have the relevant part of it recognized in context of equivalence in different countries. Now, this qualification is a 1-year qualification. That does not mean that you need to study it for a year or less than a year or more than a year. Your registrations with OTHM is going to be valid for a period of 2 years. So there is nothing to pay, not a single penny to pay to us or to anybody if you are studying this qualification and completing it within 2 years. Generally speaking, in the UK, most qualifications are run between 26 to 32 weeks. The reason is that, which is basically 6 to 8 months, is because rest of the period, like you have Easter break 2 weeks off, winter break 2 weeks off, you have 6 weeks of summer vacation and national holidays, which are 8 or 9. Those times, generally are not considered teaching times and or essentially are considered as holidays. And that is why the teaching schedule or the qualifications teaching schedule normally tends to be 26 to 32 weeks. And that is what most universities also follow. And this is defined by off-call in the quality code. So when we say 1 academic year, what we mean by that is 26 to 32 weeks. And the duration of the qualification when you enroll to complete should not be more than a year. Now, having said that, this is not a graded qualification, pass and fail only. We are not going to let you fail. And that is where the consultative approach comes in. When you do submit an assignment, we give you feedback on it. And if we do feel that the assignment is, or the evidence provided is shy or not meeting the criteria fully, then feedback is provided in the form of annotated comments. I'll show you that in a bit when we do discussion on assessment and feedback. And that should allow you to dress up the work or change or amend the work and then resubmit it to pass. Pass here means 100%. There is no option that you can do certain tasks in the assignment and still pass. No, you have to do all the tasks and pass all of them to be able to achieve an overall pass in the qualification. Now, there are 6 units which are to be studied. Each unit is 20 credits. And in the UK, 1-year qualifications tend to be 120 credits. So this level 4 that you're studying is actually equivalent to the first year of university qualification. Because here in the UK, what tends to happen is, if I show you the framework, qualification framework basically provides a very good idea in terms of how you're going to be looking at how the qualifications are at least addressed from a point of view of levels. Now, if you are studying with a college, or if you're studying with a university, here the government does not allow you to discriminate because colleges do not have degree awarding powers. They are chartered bodies which will award a diploma. And because they do not have degree awarding powers, the qualifications are called diplomas. But if you go to a university, they will award you a degree because they are set up as universities, or degree awarding powers are available, and they call their qualifications and award them as degrees. But here in the UK, when you go and apply to an employer, for a job, they cannot write that I only want degree candidates to apply or degree candidates preferred, because this will be discriminatory. And that is where off-call and the qualification framework steps in, and they create an equivalence platform to say, even if somebody is coming with a diploma or if somebody does not have a degree, then in those cases, both of them need to be treated equally for the purposes of not allowing any discrimination. And here, if you look at, so we are a college, and you are going to be looking at studying with us through a diploma. The level 4 is actually equal to the first year of university, as you can see. Level 5 is second year, and normally we have a level 6 diploma as well. But generally, most learners, what they do is, after completing 2 years, what they do decide then to do is go to a university to do a top-up. And that top-up is that they consider studying the final year as a degree. And for the first 2 years, they get what is called exemption. So first 2 years of the degree, they will get exemption because they've covered a level 4 diploma at 120 credits and a level 5 diploma at 120 credits. And the final year requires 120 credits to be completed, which is what they will do as a degree, final year degree studies in the university. And that 120, along with 120 in the 5, 120 in the level 4, then makes up a full university degree. And that is awarded to them as a degree because you're going to the university to achieve the degree. And that allows people then to have the best of both worlds. So you do the diplomas while working, or, as a cheaper way of completing the qualification, because university fees are 9,250 per year, but diploma costs are far lesser. So essentially, you're saving on a lot of student debt in the UK. And in terms of time frame, you're able to complete the same qualification as would be taught in the university, and then even go to the university in the final year to get a BA honors degree in business and management, and that would give you 2 years exemption of level 4 and 5. So this framework signifies that there are no differences between the qualification when you do study, either with a chartered body, which is where OTHM is a chartered body and they award that diploma, and we are a center for that chartered body, or you go to a university and you study the 3-year degree course, each year being 120 credits. Now, there are 6 units, and because you're studying a level 4 course, there are some bits on academic writing and research skills. There is a few areas when you understand operations of a business. There is communication as a unit. You have finance and accounting. You have managing and leading teams, which is basically an HRM related subject, and then operating in a global context, which is global business environment or business environment. Now, they are at 20 credits each. There is a fair bit of content to be covered, and that is basically shown in the unit specifications, which we have extracted, from here and then uploaded into individual unit areas on Moodle. And that allows us to, kind of shrink wrap this document and look at just the important bits that you want to when you're actually studying that particular unit. So everything in the unit content, which is given on the right-hand side, is essentially covered when we discuss each of the learning outcomes. And then the recommended books, which have been mentioned, have been provided in individual unit sections so that you are able to, even do deeper studies apart from going through our presentation handouts, but also look at reading some of the material which is related to indicative content, and that would be certain chapters in the book that you want to read. Now, going back to the overview, apart from this, in the UK, generally, what you're going to see is most of the assignments, most of the qualifications are assessed through an assignment route, not through examination. So up to level 3, sometimes you have qualifications wherein you have to sit an exam, but in higher education, which is level 4 to 7, you're going to be looking at doing assignments, and that is where academically written work is to be produced, referenced, and then sent for the purposes of assessment. And in some cases, in the final year, when you do with university, the final year qualification is graded, which allows you to achieve a degree in 2-2, 2-1, merit or distinction, first class, second class, as we call it, or third class, and then you have merit and distinction, which allows you to differentiate your grade while you achieve the final degree, output, which is the degree from the university. Now, all assignments are going to be assessed by us first, and then the assessment of the work is then put forward to the external examiner of OTHM. They agree with our decisions, and then the diplomas are essentially awarded. Now, this level 4 qualification can progress you on 2 fronts. One, after doing level 4, you can go into a second year of bachelor's degree, take an admission with the university and go into the second year, or you can study a level 5 diploma with us, and then after that go to do a level 6, or go and study a final year with the university to achieve a BA honors degree. Now, in accordance, apart from this, I think what you have to be aware of in the course handbook is that all the work that you submit is going to be, looking at, let's say, going through a plagiarism check, similarity check, to ensure that the work that you are submitting is original and the work that you are submitting is primarily your own, and it is not produced or copied or colluded with somebody else, and you're not passing that off as somebody else's work under your name. Now, if you have done any other qualifications and those qualifications relate to any of the areas of this unit, then you need to send that to us. And what we can also look at is if there is any recognition to prior learning. That means because you're a mature learner and sometimes you attend training and seminars and other forms of certifications which might be required to be done in your course of work. And if you have done those and they relate to some of the units that you're going to study in the program, then we can look at the process of checking to see if there is any content that you have studied before can be exempt from now studying it now, because this will be repetitive, and in those cases recognition to prior learning is given, and that is something that would require you to send us the certification or the details of what you have studied earlier, and then we can see if there is any possibility of any exemption which can be provided to either a unit or some of the contents of the unit. Apart from that, I think in the unit, in the course handbook, you're going to be just looking at going through as a bedside reading document, maybe pages 3 onwards to pages 8, and that would give you some background on awarding body, the qualification, the approval, the units that you cover, and the unit specifications along with progression towards the end. And that is this particular document just to familiarize yourself with OTHM, the qualification, the way it is being assessed, and what you can expect in terms of once you complete this to study further or look at progression routes. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, now very briefly, what I want to do is show you 2 or 3 other things. One is basically referencing, because here there are no assignments and no exams. So what tends to happen is in exam, if we were attending an exam or giving an exam or sitting an exam, as I would say, what would typically happen is you would basically look at the question or the task, write the answer or show the calculations, and then at the end of it, submit your paper. But because in assignments, you have to academically write by creating arguments, writing in bullet points, sometimes in paragraphs, and also using some other people's work to reference it is becoming important. And that is to say that you're giving credit to the author, publisher, inventor, psychologist, scientist who has created that work. Now, during the course of your studies, you're going to be studying units, 5 units, which are going to have work, which would be, something that you will need to refer to. So things in operations, in global context, in managing and leading teams, or in finance and accounting, you'd be referring to theoretical frameworks, you'd be referring to definitions or certain key, let's say, work, like motivation theories, for example, or leadership theories, for example. Now, these are pieces of work which has been done over decades by different teams, different scientists, different authors. And what you will do is reference that work in your own assignment, and that would require credit to be given to the authors or creators who have essentially worked hard to, get that theory or that framework in place, and that is now widely accepted. Now, when you use somebody else's work and bring it in your work, what you have to do is give reference, which is basically nothing but giving credit to the person who invented that work. Now, referencing systems are of different types. In the UK, we use what is called Harvard referencing system. The reason why Harvard is because it is also sometimes called author date style system, because when you reference the material, which is going to either come from books, articles or journals, or electronic public resources like forums, websites, emails, then you have to reference it by giving credit to the author. Now, how do you do that? One is you do use direct quotations. That means you pick up the work as it is without changing the meaning of it, and then you write it in the same wording as it was published in a book, article, or journal or website, and that is where you have to use inverted quotes. And this uses the exact words picked up, copied and pasted into your document. And then towards the end, you give the name of the author and the year in which it was published. The second way of referencing is paraphrasing. That means you are going to read the material, write it in your own words. You're going to paraphrase without altering the meaning of the sentence or the paragraph, but write it in your own words. And in those cases, that is called paraphrasing, but you do not use inverted commas in paraphrasing. But you will still give credit to the author from which, for the work which you are using in your, in your assignment. So, for example, if you were to say something, then you are going to use the first name of the author and the year in which they mentioned it. If you are specifically picking up a definition or you want to specifically mention a framework, in some cases, what we also do is mention the page number, and this becomes in-text referencing. That means you just do not give the name of the author a dare. So in this case, he must have given across, Leadership Network. It was introduced in 1988, and then on page 51, it mentions the goals and objectives of what leadership theory is. And that is what is going to be very specific when you look at, referencing, because you're using direct quotes here. Now, if there are two authors who have done the work, you'll use their last names. If it is three, their last names. And if it's more than three, we use the terminology et al. That means Morris and team. And that is where you use and how you use Harvard referencing. Now, referencing, when you have done throughout the document, towards the end, what you can do is create a reference list or a list of bibliography. And that list essentially would be, writing the details with the name of the authors, the year in which they published something, the name of the book, the publisher, and what edition it is. And that is normally giving the details of what reference or material has been used primarily to do the assignment. And in some cases, that is detailed out as a referencing list towards the end of your document. So this presentation would help you revise or get used to understanding what is Harvard referencing. And I would suggest that you need to go through this and this particular video, which basically of Harvard referencing in about 3 to 4 minutes explains why it is important and why you need to look at giving credit to the authors who have created the work when you're using it in your, assignments. And this would also bring down your similarity. The moment you reference work, moment you give credit to somebody, for the work that you're taking and putting in your assignment, that would help you reduce the similarity on your assignments. So this is the bits that you need to go through just to familiarize yourself. And at level 4, the idea is to develop referencing. So when you submit your assignments, you're looking at least 6 academic references that are to be included at the end of the document. And that would be considered good enough, because this is a system that you need to develop, get used to, and it's something that you learn at level 3 and 4, and then you start implementing as an expert at level 5, 6, and 7 when you do, other courses or higher level courses. Any questions on this?
No questions. I'm good.
Okay. Now, there is one other document which I would just want to mention right now. It is not important at this moment, but just to signpost the document. This document is called Command Verbs or Essay Terms Explained. Now, when we look at doing the assignments, what will happen is in the assignment, you'll have certain words which will define what the task is asking you to do. And there are going to be 28 such words that normally come across in the assignments across 6 units. So you'll have assess, analyze, clarify. It will say assess this particular requirement or do analysis of this or explain this term. Then in those cases, if you know the meaning of the words, then you are going to be able to write the task accurately. You're not going to beat around the bush. You're going to be absolutely straight onto the task. And this word definition, if you understand, also gives you a very clear idea in terms of how much is too much to write or how much is too less to write, and what part of tasks need to be done descriptively, what part of tasks needs to be looking at, including theoretical frameworks underpinning the theory, and in some cases also requiring positives and negatives, advantages or disadvantages. And that will help you to do the assignments right the first time. And I'll come and show you an example in a minute. So this document should be coming in handy when you start doing your assignments to help you understand the task words, and they will allow you to attempt that task correctly the first time, every time. Apart from this, I think there are one or two other documents that I would draw your attention towards, because when you do submit, your assignment, what you're expected to do is also provide what is called a declaration of assignment, and that declaration is uploaded as a Word document, which I've just downloaded, and that is this Word document that you can fill once and then reuse it again and again. So you write your name here, registration number, your center name, which is our name, UK Versity. Then you write your qualification title, OTHM level 4 diploma in business and management, the unit reference every time you submit a unit, assignment. So these are 6 declarations that you will be submitting. You change the name of the unit and the title. You mention the word count of what is the word count of your assignment and the submission date, and you should be able to put your signatures here. And this will become the assignment cover sheet that you're expected to submit every time you actually submit your assignment into us. And this is going to basically show, because you're doing the course through distance learning. So if I put this across right now, say I'm submitting one of my assignments today. So I put all these in, and the tutor, that when they receive it, what they're going to do is basically, mention and use this document to be able to provide assessment and feedback. So for example, this is my registration number, and I put, say, for example, the company name, then I put the title, level 4 diploma in business and management, and then I put the unit reference. So unit references normally are available, on the unit specification sheet. So if I just put the first unit in, when you look at Moodle itself, if I just briefly show you where they will come from. So if I go back to the Moodle page and I look at these, as you can see, these are unit references or titles which are there, and this is what needs to be put in on the submissions page. So unit title, academic writing and research skills, word count, for example, say 4,000, and submission date, say, I would say if I've submitted on 15th, that is what I would basically fill this up. And then I would save this sheet once. And then what I will do is only keep changing these three from time to time, every time I submit that sheet. And that should be good enough, because it shows what you're suggesting is that this is my details. This is the work that I'm submitting, which meets the policy. I have looked at referencing my work. My similarity is below 20%. And I've done the assignment myself. It has not been submitted or done by somebody else. And I am aware of what is the malpractice policy or the plagiarism policy of the college. So this declaration comes along every time you submit, the assignment for each of the units. Now, last but not the least, what I want to do is basically show you, some quality policies which are in this particular folder. Distance learning policy, just to make sure that you're able to access the course. There is internet bandwidth and capability in terms of the laptop, machine, Mac that you use, so you're able to access the course without any hitches or any issues. If there are any complaints you need to make, then what would be the complaints policy? How do we look at assessment in terms of assignment, feedback, data protection, equality and diversity? These are general policies. Plagiarism is something that you might want to refer to. And then obviously terms and conditions and student learner agreement. These are policies that if you feel that things are not going right and you are not, getting anywhere, then sometimes it is useful for you to understand how to reach out to somebody who is the correct person to speak to, and they would be available by looking at going through these policies. They are generally provided to learners in the UK because there are some requirements from the college side. We hardly see some of them being used overseas simply because they are more or less narrative to the UK environment. But as a rule, we need to provide them, and that is where these have been mentioned here. Now, the other bit which I want to quickly look at, showing you, apart from what we want to discuss in the course induction, is primarily the assessment and feedback process. So this is the bit that we have covered. This is the bit that we have covered. I want to show you just the assessment and feedback process very briefly here. It is not something which is important, but what I want to do is make sure that you are aware that this is how the process actually works. And, you would then, when you start submitting work at some stage, you are going to be very clear in terms of how this, bit works with the awarding body and also with us as a college. Now, looking at just one piece of work, which I'll show you very briefly, and the idea is I'm just going to randomly pick out a piece of work and mention that across and show you in terms of how this process actually, works. So let me just share my full screen for now, because what I want to do is show you multiple documents. I'm just opening up one of the visits that we've just concluded in September right now. This is one such learner which has done a particular program with us. And what happens is when the learner actually submits in the work, they submit what is called the assignment front cover sheet, as I mentioned to you. You also then submit, your assignment. And that assignment generally tends to be, say, a Word document or a PowerPoint presentation. Just to show you that. And then in some cases, it will also include, say, a PowerPoint presentation. So when we look at these three main documents coming into us, what tends to happen is that we are going to then look at the documents from a point of view of whether they meet the assignment criteria or not, which is, have you followed the assignment brief? And there is no personal judgment which the, lecturers or tutors introduce. We are given very clear guidelines in terms of what is required and how it needs to be assessed. And what we are going to do is go into it case by case and look into whether it is covering all the tasks or not. And when we look at these tasks, what we do is we give you some comments on the right-hand side to say whether this is achieved, met, or not. So as you can see in this particular assignment, this task 1.1 is met, 1.2 is also met. And this assignment pretty much seems to be meeting all the criteria. There is not anything which is referred in this assignment. As you can see, if we do feel that if you do a task and there is bits and pieces in the task which are not meeting the criteria, then the comments are going to be given here. And these comments are essentially going to give you guidance to say what is required to be done or what is required to be changed, so that when you resubmit this by making changes, say for example, if this task was not met, what you will do is if you add this paragraph, you will highlight this in yellow. And then what we can see is see the fact that, okay, this comment was given and the learner has gone in and added this content, which is highlighted in yellow, now meets the criteria, and the assignment will then, essentially pass. And then we can also see that the learner has developed a bibliography, and this would suffice as far as the assignment is concerned. Now, in the assignment, one of the tasks is required to be done as a presentation, and the learner has detailed a presentation slide, a few slides in the presentation, and that also meets the criteria. Now, once this is done, what then tends to happen is you would receive two things back. One would be this feedback sheet, and along with that, a plagiarism scan. The feedback sheet would essentially say why you passed the work. And this is your proof to say that I have now completed this unit. It has been signed off by the lecturer. And that would essentially ensure that this is your record that, yes, I have passed this unit and I can now move on to the next one. This is called the summative sheet. Along with that, we will also send you a plagiarism scan to say whether your work has been original, as what is the level of similarity. So anything below 20% is acceptable. As you can see, this is 6.6%, which means the work is fairly original and there is no issues with the work. And you are also going to get these documents back, which is the feedback document for, again, record keeping, and the copy of the presentation on which we have also given feedback. So this tends to be a process that we will follow through for most of the assignments that you're going to submit. And this would be repeated 6 times at least, simply because there are 6 units and 6 assignments to do. Now, once we see that this work has been marked, then at some stage, the quality manager would go in and obviously verify the units. and he would sign the work off. And he will agree with the assessors why this work has now been assessed to these right standards. And then they would basically sign it off. And this is what is presented to OTHM for the purposes of, certification. Now, because as I mentioned, this is a recent visit that we closed. So what happens is when the work is shared with the external examiner, what you are going to see is that the external examiner will go through the work, and at some stage when he has gone through the work, what he's also going to do is send us a confirmation email and say that, I have actually, if I just open in one screen rather than so many. So this would then say, I'm writing to let you know that I've completed your EKA report. And once this report is submitted, what will then happen is the certification would be issued by OTHM. So he goes through the work in total to see what work has been submitted, how the learner has done the work, what feedback has been provided, and he agrees to our decision. And at that stage, what will happen is the certification of the, certification of your work will essentially be done. Now, once this is done, what happens in your case is that OTHM, if I now share my screen again for a second, OTHM will issue you a login to their portal. And this login to the portal is going to be a login which will allow you, which will basically be a login for life. And this would allow you to access your certificate, your diploma, and what has happened in the last couple of years is that in the UK, the government has started an initiative called Higher Education Digital Database, which means that they do not want any hard copies of the certificate to be sent across to anybody. They are promoting the concept of digital degrees or digital diplomas, and that is where all organizations have been asked to sign up to this initiative. This was started in 2016, and it makes it easier for an employer, agency, for immigration purposes to verify your document at a click of a button. And there are 471 institutions in the UK which have signed up to this. OTHM is one of them. And when you get this certification portal login, that will also tell you that your certification has happened, because OTHM sends you an email and then it allows you to look at your diploma and your transcript from the portal. Now, the main part that you have to keep in mind is that when you get this login, you have to save this login and keep it for life, because this is not going to be a document or a portal which you are going to get for once. Now, how does your diploma and your, say, for example, certificate look like? So if I just open one such qualification, this is where it will be, visible. When you are in your portal, you will see your diploma only. And any such qualifications that you do in the future with OTHM, they'll all be issued from here. So the diploma is a 2-page transcript. The first part is the award, and the second part is going to be your transcript. And that will show you the units that you have covered in the qualification, and that should give you, a 2-second page of your, award transcript as well. Now, it is very simple to verify, because if you scan this particular barcode, that barcode should take you straight away to the OTHM's website, and it will confirm that this diploma or this particular award is genuine. And it makes it easier for the employer, any organization, to verify this transcript quite quickly, because it is opening up on the website of the awarding body, and it is basically verifying simply scanning by a QR code. So that is one of the reasons why OTHM does not issue, say, for example, any certifications in print. Now, should you wish to want a print certificate, you can actually then go to the store, place the order directly, and that should allow you to, receive a certificate in printed format from OTHM for your records. But this is very clearly documented on, OTHM's website, and they have stopped issuing any certifications, from 2nd of February 2022, and that is where OTHM now only issues what is called a digital certificate, and that is highlighted very clearly on their website. Is that okay?
Yeah, all right.
Good stuff. Now, looking at, one or two last bits of things very briefly is to look at introducing you to and understanding how you would be able to reach to some of the key people in the team. Now, if you have to write to somebody in UK Versity, it is very simple. All you have to use is the first name followed by ukversity.co.uk. It's as simple as that. Now, if you need to write to me, it's Raman. If you need to write to Jill, she's the course coordinator, it'll be Jill. If you need to write to Amandeep, say, for example, you want to get hold of any recordings of this session, or you're not able to get hold of the assignment brief or anything that you need. So in terms of course coordination, if I put it this way, there are two people which are going to be key to you getting in touch with them from time to time, or they will be in touch with you from time to time because you will receive their emails. So one is Jill, and she normally sends across, Zoom session schedules simply because, and the meeting codes. So for example, she will be talking to the tutors. If you start studying now and you go through the first unit, you've gone through the recordings and you say, okay, I still have some doubt areas. I want to have a tutorial with the tutor. So what you do is you send an email to Jill, and you send an email with the time and date that you think you are going to be able to attend. And what she'll do is confirm with the tutor and then send you a Zoom invite and to you and the tutor so that that session can happen. And that session could be 5 minutes, 15 minutes, 50 minutes, does not matter, because the idea is to take you through your doubts, discuss the unit, help you to complete that particular unit, and that tutorial will be comprehensive. So that part of the work is going to be done by Jill. The other person is Amandeep. Now, he is the administrator, because if you need, for example, recordings, if you need any assignment briefs, or for example, if you've submitted your assignment and the assessment is not happened within 2 weeks. For example, you submit your first assignment and you've not got feedback from the tutor within 2 weeks, then you send him an email. Normally it is 5 to 7 working days. When you send him an email, he will then chase it up and then ensure that, your work that you've submitted, you've got feedback on it. If you need a book, if you need a handout, you need a presentation, or you're not able to, download or see a recording, then he's the person that you would be normally getting in touch. And he is reachable on amandeep@ukversity.co.uk. Now, the other way that I would also, suggest that you are going to be able to reach us is going to be from the college WhatsApp. This particular number, if you share and note down at your end, what will happen is that if you need to reach anybody in the team, you are going to be able to message that particular person by using this number. And if you add it, this is the UK Versity, college WhatsApp. Now, I'm also going to add you to a group, which is where other learners on diploma in business management are also studying. And if you need anything related to the course, you can also, WhatsApp in that particular group. And that would essentially be, looking into just the basic bits of, reaching out to other colleagues or maybe other fellow students in terms of, when you are studying this particular course. So I've added you to that group. It's a group wherein we make sure that, privacy of everyone is maintained. It's not for sharing jokes or any journal things, but anything related to the course is something that you should be able to, message us on that group. If you need something, you can also message that on the group, so that if you need it, then it could be some of the others also needing it. And in this case, Aman is able to pick it up and straight away respond back to you on the WhatsApp itself. Now, there would be a couple of tutors on the course, and these tutors, we are all based in the UK, essentially, and then most of the delivery will happen from here. So there's a bit of a time difference, as I understand, in between, UK and Nepal. So depending on, the time difference, and obviously, as of now, it's 1 o'clock there. So I think the time difference is about, just about 5 hours. So my suggestion would be that when you do send emails to us and you have requirements of doing the tutorials, like you've sent me one today saying that do it at 7, if you mention some preferable time along with the day, then it'll be easier for Jill to be able to schedule some of these sessions, with yourself and the tutors. Now, there are going to be specialist tutors who have taught and delivered this program, for over 15 years. That would include Anjum, Yasir, Shazia, myself, and Zafar. So these are 5 tutors which typically would be at any given stage involved in delivery of the unit. Anjum normally does the finance unit. Yasir would normally do the doing the the business in global context unit. Shazia would normally do the academic writing and research unit. I would be doing managing teams. Zafar would be doing the last unit, which is, the other unit, which is
Communications.
So Shazia does 2 units. Communication also she will do. And then Mr. Zafar will be doing, the unit which is business operations. So sometimes we have different tutors delivering different units, but pretty much you'll get to have 1 or 2 or 3 tutors essentially, delivering the program to you rather than just one, in terms of the full course. So they would be essentially, also doing the tutorials as and when you ask for them. And that would mean that the person teaching the unit or doing the tutorial is somebody who's an expert in that area, and you'll be learning and, gaining skills from the person who's been teaching that unit for a number of years. Now, there are other people as well. Upen, you have Amrita, you have Philip, I have Harjinder. Sometimes you might not be able to get in touch, or they might not require you to touch base because you paid the full fees. Upen and Heta are in finance. Amrita, she will get your registration, assessments, and all those bits sorted. Phil is an internal quality verifier, so he will be looking at your work once the work starts to come in, and Harjinder would be in touch when he's looking at making sure that you complete surveys and your certification is released. So he's the one who will intimate you that okay, now you should be able to log into the portal and download a certificate, or check your certificate copy, and some of the bits which are required with regards to administration, dispatch, and bits and pieces related to college work. So there would be people that you might not get in touch directly, but they would be indirectly involved in obviously delivery and completion of your qualification. So that would be generally, I would say, the team or the people that you would be dealing with in terms of your study, in terms of your course so far. Any questions on this?
It's clear, no questions.
Okay, what I would also like to do is basically look at a bit of a study plan, discuss a study plan with you. Now, what are the ideal days and times that you think you should be able to, study or do some lectures with us? If we do these live via Zoom meeting, then we would like to then share the schedule with you so that you have them available and you're able to join them. What could be the ideal days for the next 6 to 8 weeks?
So basically, I got a roster of 10 days, and in those 10 days, I don't get any specific days off. Sometimes it's morning duty, sometimes it's night duty. So there is no any specific days off.
Okay, so I
do get around 3 to 4 days off in 10 days schedule, but there is no any specific days. Sometimes it's morning, sometimes it's days, varies on the.
That's fine. So my suggestion would be that, in terms of, say, for example, sometimes we have learners, in different time zones. Say, for example, I have Nicole, who's in Australia, who's studying the same course. I have Andy in Malta, who's studying the same course. So sometimes what we do is we do record the sessions, and we will send you a copy of the recording. And then what will happen is you will get, say, for example, if you start with the academic and research skills unit, what will happen is we are going to send you the recordings for the 4 learning outcomes and the assignment brief. Now, my suggestion would be, in that case, go through the recordings, take your time, week, 2 weeks, to be able to go through the recordings. If you understand everything, or you say, for example, if there are gap areas that you pick up during the recording that you don't understand, then you keep noting them down and then send an email to Jill to say that I've gone through the recordings of the first unit and I have some doubts. These are my questions. Could you kindly schedule a tutorial session with the tutor? And what then she will do is speak to you to confirm a particular time when you're available and date. And then she will send you a Zoom invite, and then the tutor will conduct a full summary tutorial with you, which could last anywhere between 1 to 2 hours or 2 hours maximum. And that would cover the entire unit, the assignment discussion, so that you're able to then bring that unit to a close. Is that okay?
Great.
So what we are going to do is look at doing summary sessions, which could be longer than the usual sessions that we do of half an hour, 45 minutes. But that is not an issue. But the idea would be when you go through those and then you still have doubts, then you have 2 hours or, maximum, I think, because the capacity with everyone to be able to talk and, remember things could be, an issue. So most of these sessions do not go beyond 2 hours. And the idea is to comprehensively discuss the summary of the unit, covering all the learning outcomes, the assignment, and the gap areas that you have got or issues, and then help you complete that unit. And these could be the summary sessions that we would do with you, considering, the time constraints and obviously, the way your work schedule and your rota works. So I would ask Aman today to, send you a couple of things. So he will, when I say couple of things, what he'll do is start you off with the first unit, academic writing skills. In the email that he sends you, you will receive links to the recorded sessions, which are detailed and most up-to-date sessions. You click on them, they should play. You should listen into those sessions. After that, what I would suggest is you go through the PowerPoint presentations, although the sessions cover the PowerPoint presentation because we are using them, but sometimes it is good to go through the sessions, one session first, and then look at the PowerPoint presentation, complete that study in about a week, 2 weeks time, and then send back an email to say if there are any queries or questions and you want a detailed tutorial session on this. And then that is where what we'll do is schedule that and help you go through and complete that unit. And then that's a process that we repeat for all the units that you have to cover in the course. Generally speaking, we cover in 4 weeks, we cover 1 unit. So if you're studying 6 units with us, you're probably looking at, about 24 weeks maximum to be able to, which is 6 months to be able to complete the course. But sometimes you also study because everything is available to you and you paid the fees in full. All the course and all the units are available depending on the time that you have. You might want to study 2 units, you might want to study 3 units, but that will also be, reducing the time frame in which you are able to complete the qualification. Okay.
All right.
Now, this allows us to cover pretty much everything that we wanted to do in the discussion today for induction. So I will get the first unit and your registration and everything else related to the course organized, although you should now have full access to the course material because I've enrolled you in. But I will look at, asking Aman to basically look at making sure that you have the the recorded presentations for the first unit to start reading through, and confirmations on your enrollment letter, and also, your registration and other details, so that you are able to, have everything available with you with regards to the course.
Okay.
Good stuff. You're always able to message us on this number, and I'm going to send a copy of this particular recording to you just after this session, so that, and this recording would also then appear, in your Moodle in a couple of seconds. So I'll show you where. Should be able to see this recording here itself, in the Moodle, and that would allow you to even access what we've discussed and what we have covered from within this particular box here. You will see an image which will come, and that should allow you to essentially have an access to the recorded session or discussion that we've done.
All right.
Okay. That's brilliant. So I'll speak to you in the next few days and weeks with regards to the course and how you're progressing onto the course. And obviously, if I do conduct any sessions, because we teach this course at least 4 or 5 times in the year. So receiving live session invites. So don't get bogged down by the fact that why am I getting so many emails? You will continue to get these emails till the time you have completed this course with us. And we normally invite all the regular students. When I say regular, I mean registered students till they achieve the certification on the course. Now, if you're not able to attend the session, that's absolutely fine, because we understand there are differences in time zones, working, schedules. So, but we do send these invites from time to time, because you are an active student, or you're a learner who's actually enrolled into this course. Okay.
I have one question.
Yes, go ahead.
When I try to log into the model this morning, it shows me nothing, and it has said that I have not subscribed to any of the course. But now you have added me into the course, so I'll have the access of the course, right?
That is correct. Yes. So all you have to do is just refresh it. Refresh. If you're logged into the page, just refresh it, or just log out and log back in again, and you should be able to see the course.
Okay, that's great.
Okay, no worries. And if you think of any questions, even after the sessions, feel free to, drop me an email or a quick text message. And what I'll do is I'll revert back to you with the updated information. But pretty much after this session, I think you should have everything with you with regards to, with regards to the course and the course information.
So I'll get the video in the Moodle app and email, right?
Yes, that's correct. Yes, correct. Yeah. So this particular image that I've just inserted will basically give you when you click on that image, this will start running the, the discussion that we've had on the induction today.
Okay.
Good stuff. So hopefully I will get in touch with you soon with regards to anything related to the course. But I hope you are now feeling very confident in terms of how to follow the course, how to read or study the course, and most of the things in and out of how the course and the course content and the certification will happen. So hopefully that should give you that confidence to start reading from today. And then what I will do is, as I mentioned earlier, I'll ask Aman to basically send over some recording links to you for updated recordings for the first unit. And that is where you would start with your studies from later this afternoon.
Yeah, you made me very clear about it. And if I get any confusion, I'll share the email you.
That's brilliant. Thanks, Abinash, for attending this session. I will catch up with you a bit later then. Thanks and have a good day ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Ramanjit. Have a good day.
Thank you. Bye. Bye for now.
Bye.